Ay, mi amor, deja esa horrible muñeca en paz. Teniendo juguetes tan bonitos.
La cosa, insomma, sì, seguirebbe.
There's nothing you can do to stop us.
Hola, mi amigos. Not gonna do that. Let's talk about some movies, baby. Oh, we love these. Oh, we got the cardboard and we got the discs inside that we might watch. Who knows? Yeah. 5 Women for the Killer. Hey. Oh God, I can't show that. 5.
Oh, no!
5 Women for the Killer. Stelvio Massi might be a director that you're familiar with, especially if you've been keeping up with Vinegar Syndrome's Forgotten Jolly box sets. He directed Volume 4's sleazy erotic thriller Arabella Black Angel, a film that is as in love with filthy sexy times as it is completely unable to understand how or why people engage in them. That film, drowning in 80s excesses, basically everything you want from pure, often daft trash cinema. Massi's latest to be popped onto Blue is 1974's 5 Women for the Killer. I just mentioned the title, so I don't know why I wrote that into the script twice. 5 Women for the Killer, a film that seems to want to reach those heights of sleaze, but which is perhaps stymied somewhat by not being made a little later in time. Massi, at this point, wasn't really into giallo stuff, and arguably never was into gialli, because really, Arabella's not much of a giallo, if you think about it. It's really just an erotic thriller. So I guess he just wasn't into the... He just liked showing, like, tits and girls all fucking carved up. This is going great. We're presented with the story of Giorgio Pisani, played by Francis Matthews, a British actor, not much Italian on his CV, so this is an interesting choice. Didn't really, they mentioned in the commentary actually that he didn't really have like an Italian, you know, side piece thing going on like a lot of actors did, so I don't know what the fuck he's doing here. But anyway, he's a writer who rushes home, he's an actor who's playing a writer. He's a writer who rushes home to see the birth of his son, only to discover that his wife has died in childbirth. And as if that wasn't enough, he finds out that the baby isn't even his.
Sarai l'uomo più virile del mondo, ma non sei in grado di procreare.
He's sterile. Womp womp.
Io ero molto affezionata a te, a Erika. Sapevo che il vecchio si sarebbe opposto se avesse saputo la verità. Così ho fatto di testa mia e vi ho mostrato una cartella falsa.
But things get even more complicated as the police start investigating a serial killer who targets pregnant women, or at least women who are believed to be pregnant. And this gloved killer, love these gloves by the way, very, very très chic, is really punishing these broads. So, who's committing these heinous acts? Could it be that Giorgio's grief and confusion are driving him to commit these gruesome murders? Something that would definitely not be incredibly obvious for a giallo. Or is it the smarmy pediatrician, Dr. Betty, played by Giorgio Albertazzi, who has just impregnated his mistress and is trying to cover his tracks?
Tanto per chiarire, io sono un democratico di sinistra. Chiaro?
Perhaps one of the other characters who I kept mistaking for one another because all Italians look the same. But what of Police Inspector Howard Ross? Why is he so fucking hot? This is 5 Women for the Killer, a film that exists.
Ti sbagli. Anch'io ho dato una bella gioia ai miei genitori.
While the murders are all as grotesque as described, they are also all shown off screen, with only the results shown to us, which is, you know, fine, but there's also very little build-up. I feel like this is real. Okay, wait a second. We got it. All right, we got it. I'm too tall for this. I'm too tall for this, guys. That's better. Oh, you can see Freddy back there. There's more things for my autofocus to get confused by. That's nice. Got Uncle Jess right there. Anyway, all the kills are off screen. Only the results are really shown to us, which, you know, is fine, but there's also very little build-up to most of the murders. There are strong sequences, no doubt about it, and I really enjoy the third act, but it's all weighed down by a lot of really uninteresting plot. Very standard issue giallo vibes, but that said, Massi does show a lot of experimental camera work throughout, some of which comes off as borderline student filmmaking, but all contributes to a little extra visual interest that helps the viewer get through this hodgepodge of forgettables. For those interested in the more historical elements of these films, something I learned in that aforementioned jam-packed commentary track is that this broad is played by Ilona Staller. I think that's how you say her name. I was gonna check before I did this video and I forgot, and I'm in the shit. I'm not changing anything. Can you tell I'm on new medication? Anyway, Ilona Staller, she's barely in the film, just long enough to get naked, get laid, and get killed. But Staller is perhaps the most notable actor in the film, at least for our purposes. I'm going really high on my audio, that's fine. Elsewhere in the cast, you got like Gabriella Lepori. She was in quite a few notable films, including Rome Armed to the Teeth, which is fucking rad. But Staller, well, she did porn.
We gotta go to work on Woody right away.
See, while Staller did start off in small roles in films like Five Women, she initially became famous for her ace. Holy shit. You were so loud. You're clickety-clacking.
Oh, cazzo.
See, while Staller did start off in small roles in films like Five Women, she initially became famous for her more explicit performances, which included both softcore and hardcore pornography. She showed up in a bunch of films and magazines throughout the 1970s and 80s, and became one of the most recognizable faces of the Italian fuck film industry. But it gets better! In addition to her work in the adult entertainment industry, Staller also pursued a career in music. My Duolingo is not going great for Italian, by the way. But wait! It gets better!
What are you talking about?
Staller's career took a turn in the 1980s when she entered politics and was elected to the Italian parliament as a member of the Radical Party, which sounds radical. During her time in office, Staller advocated for progressive causes such as legalization of marijuana and abortion rights, and even gave speeches with her titty hanging out. Queen material, guys. And that incredible life starts in films like, like Five Women for the Killer. That's pretty cool. Right?
Right. Great story, mind.
The movie itself is good.
Se lei sapesse, I francobolli mi fanno tanta compagnia, sa quando...
Vacations of... Vacaciones de Terror 1 and 2. Let's dig into it. Okay, so Vacations of Terror from 1989 and Vacations of Terror 2, Diabolical Birthday, are a fascinating, if extremely flawed peek into the history of Mexican horror filmmaking. I had nothing to do with this release, so I only got one round with each before writing this review. I'm glad I wasn't tasked with anything though, because these are kind of lame, all said and done. Not bad or anything, just sort of, you know, they exist, they're there. Both films center around the same lead character, Julio. Portrayed by man of extreme mullets, Pedro Fernandez. Julio is an amateur expert on the occult, and so he brings with him just enough knowledge to aid the rest of the characters in their battle against evil. That evil takes the form of a creepy doll, the kind you see and ask yourself, what kind of fucked up parent would allow this thing into their home? This doll comes into play pretty naturally in the first film. A little girl finds it in a pit full of witch stuff, obviously. While in the second, it just kinda shows up. Which, you know, fine, whatever. Let's cut to the chase, people. I can dig it, come on. The first film is a bit of a been there, done that experience. While Julio's glorious hair and oddball charm work wonders, that's not quite enough to support the full runtime. Director Rene Cardona III, rip rip, does his best to conjure up scares, be it with bleeding walls or squibs placed in any object the production could possibly put squibs in, but all of it starts getting pretty tiring the 53rd time our witch's curse decides it wants to blow up a lamp or whatever. By itself, Vacations of Terror is fine.
Pues Julio me gusta.
But it's not something I can even really remember much of now, just like a couple days after watching it, so Vacazione Stay Terror 2 delivers far more and might even be seen as an admirable response to the failures of that initial entry. It's nowhere near as consistent as Cardona's vision, but who needs consistency when you have a Halloween party on a studio backlot complete with a highly impractical table-sized birthday cake, a pop star with a catchy earworm, a demonic creature with a big old tail, and enough gory violence to help you forget that the producers really couldn't afford much beyond the cramped set and slapdash special effects. Director Pedro Galindo III is not a huge improvement over Cardona, but he has the schlock dialed in pretty exactly where it needs to be. Unfortunately, much like the previous entry, Diabolical Birthday is extremely repetitive. I lost count of how many times someone dropped a fucking runestone. If it was repetitive with gore or musical numbers, that would be one thing, but to just give me the same whoopsie doodle over and over again, it got to be a bit of a drag. And not like the good drag. Not like the, you know, it ain't a good story time, you dig? That said, I could see it being a strong viewing with a group of like-minded genre lovers, perhaps under the influence of, drugs. The monster makeup is just the right amount of goofy and cool. Julio is a stronger presence, and the whole thing takes place around Halloween, meaning that the atmosphere is pretty dang thick. And again, that pop song is muy bueno. Wait, I can do that more white. That pop song is muy bueno.
Oh my God, I'm going to jail!
So as a party movie, it's definitely a recommend, while as an individual experience, I'd say, they're worthwhile, I guess. To be fair, I feel like a lot of people like these more than I did, so that might it might be a me thing. I don't know. New drugs. Beyond all that, I'm now very interested in seeing more of Pedro Fernandez's career. He has a 2022 show on HBO called Mariachis. Not sure what that could be about. And a previous series on Netflix entitled Malverde, El Santo Patron. He also starred in the 1989 Pedro Galindo III horror film Hell's Trap, so consider that in the queue as well. And I imagine that's getting a pretty sexy release sometime soon. Come on. Disclaimer, I do not know if it's getting a release soon, but it seems like an obvious next step. Anyway, as is often the case, I did not partake in the extras because I'm a busy boy and frankly I just wasn't too enthralled with the films themselves. But that said, there's also a lot of peeps who fucking love one or both of these, so take my disinterest with a grain of salt. Salt.
Brings back so many good memories.
Video interview. Another video interview. A video interview that's not called a video interview, and a video interview. Okie dokie.
Entonces ahora me toca a mí presentarles la nueva sorpresa de esta noche.
Next up, Curse of the Blue Lights. Well, can we get like a good thumbnail image? Wait, no, wait. Oh, shock. Curse of the Blue Lights is easily the standout of April's straight releases. It's not necessarily a great film, but it's got a lot of personality and regional indie charm that kind of makes you root for its underdog status. Shot in and around Pueblo, Colorado. The cast and crew made up almost entirely of Pueblo residents, and with a title based on the local legend of the Blue Lights. This is about as regional as you can get. Like, I'm honestly surprised it's not part of a third homegrown horror set, but perhaps that would have been shortchanging the filmmakers, if we're being totally honest. This was a huge production for such a small and relatively inexperienced group that mostly shines through. Full disclosure, Curse of the Blue Lights was a title I worked on for Vinegar Syndrome. Specifically, I edited together the feature-length documentary that's included on the disc. It is also muy bueno. Outside of like half an hour of the commentary track, I haven't checked out the other extras, but I can safely say that the doc is really illuminating and will probably give you a lot more respect for what the filmmakers put together in this nifty little horror flick. Blue Lights contains no notable stars and a handful of talents that went on to do more. Special effects artist Mark Sisson worked for a boatload of notable productions, including The Resurrected, Jurassic Park, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child, and of course the perennial classic Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Strangely, the most successful actor of the bunch is Tom Massman, whose work on Blue Lights was such that not only did he leave and get written out mid-production, but let's just say that his account of what happened is met with a bit of dispute. Point being, don't expect too many familiar faces. Not that really any of these... I feel like 5 Women for the Killer is the one that most likely have someone you've seen before. Yeah. Which is fine. Who needs stars? Fuck actors.
We hate you.
Blue Lights tells the story of a bunch of teens who come across the plot of a handful of demons who are seeking to resurrect the Muldoon Man, a creature based on a real-life fraudulent discovery.
Muldoon will arrive soon.
Now, these demons are also the source of the Blue Lights, themselves another regional legend based around lights that many people have claimed to have seen in Pueblo, Colorado. Apparently, this film is still well regarded in Pueblo, although sadly I didn't receive any footage of the documentarians pestering locals about the veracity of that claim, so they could be full of shit. I have no idea. I don't check anything.
All of us that saw that thing, we're all gonna die.
As I mentioned up top, Blue Lights is no stunning achievement in cinematic perfection, but it sure as heck is a lot of fun, and this version is so much better than the one on YouTube or even what was available on the old Code Red Blu-ray. Rip rip. There's a ton of bonkers special effects and makeup to gawk at, plus the usual chuckle-inducing daft filmmaking choices that make regional films all the more endearing. If you like the kind of movies present in Vinegar Syndrome's homegrown horror sets, I already mentioned that. This one is a no-brainer and one that I look forward to revisiting in the near future. It's just fun.
I guess it's better than nothing.
Hey, stop your clacking! I swear to God, dog. Swear to God. Oh, buddy. Those 2 bad guy dogs in that Oliver movie, they didn't, nothing good happened to them. It's gonna be like you. I love you. So yeah, that's the movies. I didn't get the porn because I was poor. Too poor for porn. But that should be changing soon, so I will get back into the porn racket sooner rather than later.
Va bene. Troverò qualche suo collega con meno scrupoli.
And, yeah, let me know what you'd like me to review. Not that I ever get around to anything that y'all leave in the comments, but you know what? Maybe one day it'll work. You know, maybe like these new meds will get me going, hey, gotta do that thing. Maybe I'll finally get around to that 2001 A Space Odyssey video. Who knows? But, yeah. Still enjoying what Vinegar Syndrome's putting out. Definitely the weakest month so far this year, but this was April. And coming up, we've got the big halfway to Black Friday sale. So it's about to get bonkers banana pants, as they say in France. Anyway, go watch a movie.
Sam, you gotta be shitting us. There's no such thing as a witch.
It's too small for my fucking eyes. My fucking eyes don't. That doesn't fucking work for me.
This, alright, I need it to be like really big. Really big, really big, really big.
The fuck is scroll assist? There we go. Nice and chunky. Nice and chunky, this teleprompter. It's not backwards. What the fuck? Damn it. Fucking app. There's the ticket. That's what she likes. Hi, I'm Michael Keene. These are my titties, Janet and Gladys, and this is a review show.